Welcome to this course of electricity and magnetism. In last class, we have derived the energy stored in a uniformly charged sphere. Today, we will calculate what will be the energy stored in a uniformly charged conducting sphere. In the last class, what we discussed was not a conducting sphere, it is a uniformly charged sphere. It is an insulating material, so that charge can be distributed uniformly throughout its volume with a uniform volume charge density rho. Now, we will discuss what happens when we give a charge to a conducting sphere, and we will discuss more detail to particularly the case of conductors. What are conductors and how conductors behave to an electric field, and what happens when a conductor is placed in an electric field. Then we will discuss about a new quantity called capacitance, and then we will go for calculating capacitance of some specific configuration of the conductors, and of course an isolated conducting sphere. So, today we will discuss all these things. Let us now start with this energy in a charged conducting sphere. In a conducting sphere, if we give some charge, the charge always resides over its surface. Why it is so, we will discuss later, but charge can never reside inside the conductor, it always comes to the surface of the conductor. Okay? And this surface is always an equipotential surface. Every point on the surface of this conductor has same potential, because we will discuss in detail that conductor is a metal which contains free charges. So, when the material contains free charges and if there is a potential difference between any 2 points, obviously these free charges will move and they will make a surface current. And in electrostatics, as we are saying that these charges are at rest on the surface of the conductor, so they will not move, and for that reason every point on the surface has the same potential, and this charged conductor behaves to the to a point outside the surface or on the surface as if the entire charge q is located at its center, and if the radius of this sphere is small a, then the potential on the surface of the sphere is V is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by a. It is like the potential at a distance a from a point charge q. Okay? So, this is the potential of a charged conducting sphere. And now, if we put an increment of charge dq over it, let us say at any instant, at an instant the charge on the sphere is small q, so that the potential at this point is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by a, and we add another increment of charge dq to this sphere. Then we have to do work, and what should be the work done? According to our previous discussion, dw is equal to charge into potential, dw is equal to dq into v. So, this is equal to now dq into v is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by a is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught a q dq. Okay. So, if we store a total amount of charge capital Q on this conducting sphere, then the total work done will be W is equal to integration of dW, and the charge limit will be from 0 to capital Q. So, that is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon a q dq integration from 0 to capital Q, that is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught a integration of q dq from 0 to a is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught q square by 2 integration of q dq is q square by 2 from 0 to 0 to capital Q here 0 to capital Q is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q square by 2 minus 0 is equal to 1 by, here A is there, 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught A Q square by 2. Okay. So, this work done to store charge capital Q on the conducting sphere is stored as the potential energy on the conductor. So, the potential energy of this charged spherical conductor is now 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q square by twice A. Okay. So, in the last class we discussed about uniformly charged sphere. Today we discuss about a uniformly charged conducting sphere. The difference is that here the charge resides only on the surface. In that case, in the earlier case, the charge was uniformly distributed over the entire volume of the sphere. Okay. Now, let us discuss about what happens to a conductor in an electric field. First of all, what is a conductor? As at your school level, you have been given the definition of a conductor as the material which allows a current to flow through it. And at the other end, there is another type of metal, we call them insulator, or often we say them dielectrics. They are the metal which do not allow electric current to pass through them. Okay. Then what is current? First of all, current is the rate of flow of charge through a cross section of a material. So, how much charge that flows in 1 second determines the current. Then when charge should flow? Charge flows from if it is positive charge, it flows from a high potential to low potential. If it is negative charge, it flows from negative potential to positive potential or lower potential to higher potential. And we take a conventional direction of current as the direction in which these positive charges flow. Therefore, the current flows from high potential to low potential. So, the basic requirement is that there must be a potential difference between 2 points in a material, so that charge can flow. Then the second point is these charges, they must be capable of moving, or we call them mobile charges. Every metal consists of atoms, and atoms contains equal number of positively charged protons and negatively charged electrons. But these protons are of course there inside the nucleus, they generally do not come out of the nucleus. These electrons revolve around the nucleus in different circular orbits or different shells orbits. And these electrons, as long as they revolve in the orbit around the nucleus, they are attached to the atoms. And these charges, negative charges of the electrons are bound charges, because they are bound to specific atoms. But in certain material, these electrons from the external orbit, they can come out of the atom and they move randomly inside the material. They belong to the material, but they do not belong to the specific atom or specific molecule. This charge which becomes free from the atom and moves randomly inside the material is called a free charge, or if it is an electron, we call them free electron. Okay. So, now we have two types of charges in a material. One is bound charges, those charges which are bound to atoms, specific atoms or molecules, they do not leave them in general. And there are free charges which are basically free electrons in all metals. and in case of a liquid they are often ions. For example, a solution of sodium chloride contains sodium ions and chloride ions, they are movable. So, these ions or these free electrons, they are mobile, they are not bound, they are free charges, they can move inside the material. And only these materials, in these materials, if we apply a potential difference between the two ends, these free charges or mobile charges will move and produce a current. Okay. So, the basic conditions are the material must contain free charges or mobile charges. Very specifically, in case of metals, they must contain free electrons. In a solid, they must contain free electrons. Okay. And then there must be a potential difference between the two ends of the material, so that a current will flow. So, if a metal does not contain free electrons or free charges or mobile charges, even if we apply a potential difference between its two ends, a current will not be produced there. So, that metal does not allow charge to flow or current to flow. This material is called insulator, and the material which conducts current or which allows current to flow is conductor, because this material, this conducting material contains free charges, mobile charges, or in solids particularly free electrons. So, now we differentiate between conductor and insulator as conductors contain free electrons or free charges or mobile charges, while insulators do not have free charge or mobile charge or free electrons. Okay. And these free electrons in a solid material are the they play the role in conducting electric current. Okay. So, we can write that conductors allow a current to flow through them because they contain mobile charges. Mobile charges. In solids, these mobile charges are free electrons. Free electrons. All metals contain large number of free electrons, So, they are good conductors of electricity. They are good conductors of electricity. While insulators do not have any free electrons, so they cannot conduct. So, they cannot conduct current. They cannot conduct current. Now, we will focus to conductors, how they behave to an electric field. If there is a conductor and we apply an electric field, what will happen? In an electric field, a charge q experiences a force q into E. If it is a negative charge, that is electron having charge minus E, it will experience a force minus E into capital E. So, this is the force in the opposite direction of electric field. So, this due to the electric field, the free electrons inside the conductor now move towards opposite side of the field. So, they get accumulating at this side, leaving behind the positive charges at the other side of the conductor. Because the conductor contains plenty of free electrons, they will keep moving towards the other end as long as there is an equilibrium is reached, until an equilibrium is reached. So, these charges at the surface developed because of the presence of electric field are called induced charges. So, at one side there are negatively charged induced charges, at the other side positively charged induced charges. So, these induced charges will now set up an electric field which acts opposite to the applied field, and these electrons keep moving to the other end, or these induced charges keep accumulating as long as the electric field, induced electric field cancels the applied field inside the conductor. So, the result is the resultant electric field inside the conductor is 0. So, there will be no electric field inside the conductor. This is a very important point, that how conductor responds to an electric field. So, the point is conductor does not allow an electric field to pass through it. Then inside the conductor the electric field is always 0. Okay. While we will discuss later about dielectrics or insulators, the materials they can allow electric field to pass through them, while conductors do not allow electric current or electric field to pass through them. They allow electric current to flow through them, but they do not allow electric field to pass through them. Okay. This is one response of the conductor. Then this 0 electric field inside the conductor leads to another conclusion. What is that? If we draw any Gaussian surface inside the conductor and we apply Gauss law to this Gaussian surface, then our Gauss law will become integration of E dot ds around that surface is equal to charge enclosed by epsilon 0, okay, q by epsilon 0. But already we have discussed that the field inside the conductor is 0. So, this surface integral will become 0 because electric field is 0. Therefore, this leads to the conclusion that q is equal to 0. Hence, inside a conductor the electric field will be 0 and charge will be 0. Okay. So, if we give charge to a conductor, the only place where the charge can stay is on the surface, because if we make a Gaussian surface as close as possible to the surface, then that will not contain any charge. So, only option left with is that the charge has to reside only on the surface of the conductor. So, this is the second response of a conductor, second property or characteristics of a conductor in electric field, that the charge on a conductor can reside only on the surface, not inside the surface. Okay. Okay. Then from the point that electric field is 0, we know E is equal to minus dV by dr. Already we have discussed electric field is the negative gradient of potential. So, as E is equal to 0 implies dV by dr is equal to 0, this implies V is equal to constant. V is equal to constant. So, the surface or the entire conductor inside and outside the surface, the potential remains constant. So, the entire conductor is equipotential region. The potential at every point on the conductor is same as the potential on its surface. It is an equipotential region. This is the third important characteristics of a conductor in electric field. Then When we talk about the inside of the conductor, that means the inside is the filled with the material of the conductor, but if there is a cavity, what will happen? Again, the cavity inside a conductor will have no field. If there is charge outside the surface, then inside the surface, inside the cavity, the electric field will be 0. So, conductor acts like an electrical shielding. Okay. Two things happen. If it is a conductor and there is a cavity inside it and we give charge on the surface of the conductor, then what will happen? At this boundary, negative charges will be induced. Okay. So, that electric field inside this cavity is inside the conductor is 0. So, the electric field cannot penetrate through the cavity, the inside of the electric field is 0. So, in a conductor if we have a cavity, the field inside it is 0. But if there is a cavity in a conductor and we put a charge q inside the cavity, then what will happen? Because of this charge, negative charges will be developed, induced at the inner surface of the cavity. So, that will make exactly equal number of positive charges to be induced on the outer surface of the conductor. So, that inside this conductor, inside the region of conductor, electric field will not be there, but from the outside of the conductor, I mean entire outside surface of the conductor, it will behave as if the charges are residing on the surface. So, it cannot hide the charge, it cannot, if the charge is given inside the cavity to the outer world, it will not be hidden, because it will behave as if the charge is there, but the mechanism is something different here. Okay. So, the always inside the body of the conductor electric field will be 0. Okay. If charge is given outside the conductor and there is a cavity, the field inside the cavity is not 0. If a charge is placed inside the cavity, it will make its presence felt outside the conductor, but in the material of the conductor electric field will be 0. Okay. So, these are the response of a conductor to an electric field. The conductor in electric field, as the first point is electric field inside a conductor is always 0. The entire region of conductor of charged conductor is equipotential, including its surface, That means the potential on the surface is same as the potential everywhere inside the conductor, but field inside the conductor is 0. Then the third important point is, in a charged conductor, charge only resides on the surface of the conductor. On the surface of the conductor. So, there will be no charge inside the material of the conductor. If there is a cavity inside the conductor, then the conductor acts as electrical shielding, acts as electrical shielding to the cavity. So that even if there is a field, outside the conductor, the field inside the cavity, is 0. This is the reason in a lightning, if the passenger is inside the car, the passenger will not be electrocuted, because the car acts, the entire body of the car acts as electrical shielding to the outside electric field. Okay. So, conductors act as electrical shielding material, okay. They do not allow field to penetrate through them. So, these are some characteristics of conductor in static electric field. Okay. Now, let us calculate the electric field due to a charged conductor and what is the force on the surface of the conductor. Okay. Because of this field, what is the force experienced by the surface of the conductor. Suppose this is a conductor in which we have given some charge. The charge will be uniformly distributed over its surface, which will give rise to a uniform surface charge density sigma, that is charge per unit area, surface charge density. Okay. Let us consider this is a charged conductor, and now to find the electric field at certain distance from this charge, let P is a point where we want to find the electric field due to this charged conductor. Okay. Then we have to draw a Gaussian surface, let it as a cylinder that straddles at its middle the part of this conductor. Okay. And the area, let this is nearly very flat. I mean, if we consider a very small area, then it will be very flat, and the electric field due to this charge is directed outward from the surface, normal to the surface. Yes, this is another aspect of a charged conductor. The electric field has to be normal to the surface of the charged conductor. It has to be normal to the surface of the charged conductor. Why? Because if this is the surface of the charged conductor, and instead of field being normal, if it makes an angle with the surface, then we can have a normal component of field as well as a surface component of the field, that is a component parallel to the surface. So, this component parallel to the surface will make the charge to move over the conductor, because charge on the conductor is mobile. So, that will produce a surface current. Okay. And in electrostatics, we say the charges are at rest. Hence, there should not be any surface current because of the charge on the conductor. For that reason, electric field or lines of force must be always normal to the surface of a charged conductor. This is another important property of conductor. So, here the electric field should be normal to the surface, and if the area is A, then the total flux to this surface will be E into A, and over this curved surface the outer normal n cap and electric field direction angle is always 90 degree. So, E dot ds is E ds cos 90, that is 0. So, these two curves this curved surface of the cylinder will contribute no flux to the total flux. Okay. And field inside the conductor, as already we have discussed, inside the conductor the field is always 0. Therefore, the flux contribution to this end face is 0. So, only flux contribution is on the flat surface outside the conductor. Okay. So, if we take this as the Gaussian surface, then on this Gaussian surface total flux E dot ds is only E into A, where A is the area of one of the end face, because the rest of the faces contributes no flux. The curved surface, for the curved surface field and normal to the surface are at 90 degree, cos 90 is 0, and the other end face there is no electric field because it lies inside the conductor. So, flux is 0. So, only contribution is E into A. And what is the charge enclosed by this Gaussian surface? That is the only the surface charge. So, surface charge density is sigma. So, the surface charge is Q is equal to sigma into A. Charge per unit area is sigma. So, in the charge in the area A, the total charge is sigma into A. Therefore, our Gauss law becomes E into A is equal to sigma A by epsilon 0, because Gauss law says integration of E dot ds around the closed surface is equal to Q by epsilon naught. This integration of E dot ds is E A and Q is sigma A by epsilon naught. A cancels out, and this implies electric field is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So, you see the field due to a charged conductor is sigma by epsilon naught. Okay. While in earlier when we discussed about the applications of Gauss law, we calculate the field due to a non-conducting charge sheet as sigma by 2 epsilon naught. Here for a charged conductor it is sigma by epsilon naught. Okay. Now, let us calculate what is the force on this surface charge. Why this force should be there? There are charges all over distributed over the surface. These charges must repel each other. Okay. So, the entire surface of the conductor is under tension. Suppose this is the surface and we consider a small part of this surface, say dA, and the entire surface of the charged conductor has a surface charge density sigma. So, on this dA surface the total charge will be sigma into dA. Okay. And because of the discharge, the outside region of the electric field will be along normal to the surface, and what is the value? That is sigma by, we have already calculated, the electric field is sigma by epsilon naught. So, we have field above the surface, field below the surface. Below the surface E below is equal to 0. Above the surface total electric field is sigma by epsilon naught. Okay. But the total field above the surface has two components, one because of this patch and the other one because of the rest of the charges over the surface. So, because of this patch, let the electric field is E1, which must be directed outward from the surface, and rest of the charges contribute electric field E2. This is above, and below this electric field will be directed in opposite direction E1 because of this patch, and of course, the field due to the rest of the charges is E2, this is E1. So, we have E above the total electric field is E1 plus E2, and that is equal to how much? Sigma by epsilon naught. Here E1 is the field due to the surface charge, of an element of area dA. And what is E2? E2 is the field due to the rest of the charges on the surface. Okay. So, E above is E1 plus E2, they are in same direction. E below is E1 minus E2, that is equal to 0, because we have already discussed the electric field inside the conductor is 0. So, this means E1 is equal to E2. So, this equation now becomes E2 plus E2 is equal to sigma by epsilon naught, or 2 E2 is equal to sigma by epsilon naught, or E2 is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So, this is the electric field due to the rest of charges except this patch of the charge. And this patch of the charge having area dA contains the total amount of charge as sigma into dA, because sigma is the surface charge density, this is having area dA. Okay. Then in the area dA the total charge is sigma dA. Okay. This charge is being in the presence of electric field E2, that is the field due to the rest of the charges. So, due to the field of the rest of the charges, this element of charge will experience a force, F is equal to charge into electric field Q into E. Therefore, the total force on this patch will be F is equal to charge is sigma dA into electric field due to the rest of the charges, that is E2, sigma dA into E2, and we have already calculated what is E2, that is equal to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. So, that is equal to sigma dA into sigma by 2 epsilon naught, sigma by 2 epsilon naught is equal to half sigma square by 2 epsilon naught into dA. So, the force per unit area, of the surface of the conductor is F by dA is equal to how much? Sigma square by 2 epsilon naught into dA, sigma square by 2 epsilon naught into dA, and dA now comes to the left hand side. So, F by dA is equal to sigma square by 2 epsilon naught. So, this is the force per unit area of the surface of the surface charge or the surface of the charged conductor. Okay. And what is sigma again? Our field, electric field, total electric field due to a charged conductor is E is equal to sigma by epsilon naught. So, sigma is equal to epsilon naught into E. Therefore, putting this value of sigma here, we get F by dA is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon naught into epsilon naught E square is equal to epsilon naught square E square by twice epsilon naught, I cancel out, that is equal to half epsilon naught into E square, half epsilon naught into E square. Okay. So, this is the force per unit area of the surface of a charged conductor. Now, let us imagine of displacing this surface charge of element dA area a very small displacement. Let us displace it through a very small displacement, say dy. Then what will be the work done? Work done will be force into displacement. Okay. So, F is here from this equation, of course, this is our force per unit area. Now, from this equation we see that F is equal to half epsilon naught into E square, this into dA. If this elementary charge, this element of charge, surface charge, this element of surface charge is displaced through dy, then the work done is dW is equal to half, I mean a force into displacement. Okay. Work done is always force into displacement, and that is equal to half epsilon naught E square into dA into dy. This is a surface area of dA, now it is displaced through dy. So, this gives you a volume element of dV. This volume element dV is equal to area into this length dy. So, we can write dA into dy as dV. In place of this dA and dy we can write dV. So, it is equal to half epsilon naught E square into dV. Let us write it as d tau, the volume element as d tau, to avoid confusion with our potential. Okay. So, the volume element is now d tau. That means, dW is the work done to displace this charge, and this work done will be stored as the energy in this volume d tau. Therefore, energy density, that is electrostatic energy per unit volume, that is equal to dW by d tau will become half epsilon naught E square. Okay. So, the energy density is equal to dW by d tau is equal to half epsilon naught E square. Okay. Energy density, let us write it as U. So, U is equal to now half epsilon naught into E square. So, this completes our conductor, presence of conductor in electric field, how the surface charge is developed on the conductor, and how this surface charge experiences a force, that force per unit area is half epsilon naught into E square, and what is the energy stored in the electric field around the conductor, that is energy density as half epsilon naught E square. Okay. Now, we shall discuss about capacitance. Okay. Capacitance. It is the charge storing it is the charge storing ability of a system. Okay. How much charge we can store in a system? The system, generally a system of conductors, maybe an isolated conductor that can store electric charge, and of course, when you store charge we store electric energy in potential form. So, capacitance is the ability to store charge. More the capacitance, more the ability to store electric charge, and more the ability to store electric energy. Okay. Now, if there is a system of conductors, okay, capacitance of a system of conductors. We write capacitance as the symbol C. Suppose this is a conductor, we give a charge plus Q, and there is another conductor, we give a charge minus Q. Okay. The conductor is an equipotential surface. So, it has a potential say V plus, while it has a potential say V minus, and V plus, the total potential difference V plus minus V minus is equal to say V, that is we know that potential difference is the negative of the line integral of electric field E dot dl. Okay. And what is electric field? Electric field is the influence of the electrical influence due to the charge. So, more the charge, more is the electric field. It is the field is the force per unit positive charge. So, more the charge, more will be the field. If more will be the field, more will be the potential V. Therefore, for a system of conductors, this potential difference V is the potential difference. Of course, it is the potential difference, and when we are talking about the charge that is the positive charge given on the one of the conductor. Then our potential V or potential difference V is proportional to Q, or we can say Q is proportional to V, or Q is equal to some constant C into V. This C is called the capacitance of the system of the conductors, So, C is equal to Q divided by V, and its unit will be, the unit of charge is coulomb, by unit of potential is volt, and coulomb by volt is called farad. So, SI system, in the SI system, the unit of capacitance is C is equal to Q by V. Okay. Q is coulomb by volt, yes, okay, of course I have written C as coulomb by volt is equal to farad. This is the unit of the capacitance. Okay. So, unit of capacitance is farad in SI system, and this farad is a very big unit of capacitance. Generally we do not use this capacitance of this much magnitude. Generally the conventional unit is microfarad or picofarad. Microfarad means 10 to the power minus 6 farad, because 1 farad is a very big unit of charge. Okay. And the device that stores electric charge, which is using or which is employing this system of conductors, is called a capacitor. And capacitor is designed in such a way that we can store more electric charge in the smaller space. Okay. So, capacitor is a device, capacitor is a device that employs a system of conductors, to store maximum charge in small space. So, from this equation we see that higher the value of C, more will be the charge for same potential. So, capacitance determines how much charge we can store for a given potential. Okay. And this capacitance is a purely a geometrical quantity, it is a geometrical quantity, because its value depends on the shape, size of the conductors, and of course the separation between the conductors. Okay. So, therefore, it is a geometrical factor. Often we call the capacitance of an isolated conductor. In that case, our system consists of the conductor itself, and we imagine the conductor being surrounded by a spherical capacitor of infinite radius, so that our reference point of the potential is at infinity, that is 0. So, in that case, for an isolated conductor, the charge q is given to this conductor and the potential V of this conductor is the potential difference between this conductor and the point at infinity, that is at 0. In that case, of course, when you increase the charge on the conductor, its potential gradually increases. It is like we can compare that when we apply heat, we supply heat to a material, its temperature rises. So, similarly, if we supply charge to a conductor, its potential rises. And for example, in a container you pour water, the level of water increases, but you can pour up to a limit, after that the water flows out from the container. So, a container has a storing capacity, there is a limit to its capacity to store water. Similarly, a conductor has a limit to store electric charge. Beyond that, the surrounding insulating material will have a capacity to sustain, so that beyond that, if we put charge on the conductor, the charge will leak out from the conductor. So, an isolated conductor has a limit to up to what extent we can store electric charge, and that limit of course is decided by this capacitance, and this capacitance C is equal to Q by V. Okay. So, an isolated conductor cannot store maximum charge, but let us discuss. Suppose this is a plate, this is a conducting plate, and we give some charge Q on it. Okay. And if a plate put another conductor near it, then this positive charge will induce negative charge at the inner surface of this plate or this conductor, and equal amount of positive charge on the outer side of the conductor, because total charge has to be 0, charge cannot be created nor can be destroyed. So, the negative induced charge must be equal to the positive induced charge, but the effect of this positive induced charge is to increase the potential here, and the effect of this negative induced charge is to decrease the potential here. As this negative charge is closer to this than the positive charge, it has more effect over the potential. Therefore, the combined effect of this induced charge is to reduce the total potential here. As the potential V is decreased, we can store more electric charge because capacitance increases. Therefore, instead of a single isolated conductor, if we put two conductors separated by an insulating separation or insulating medium, then the system has more charge storing ability, and this is the way we prepare or we make a capacitor. So, generally a capacitor, or often we call it as a condenser, consisting of two conducting plates or two conductors separated by an insulator. Okay. Depending on the shape and geometry of the plates, we call them as parallel plate capacitor or spherical capacitor or cylindrical capacitors. If the conductors are parallel plates, then it is a parallel plate capacitor. If they are spherical in shape, concentric spheres, two concentric spheres, then they are spherical capacitor. If they are coaxial cylinders, then it is called cylindrical capacitor. Okay. So, on the shape of, on the geometry of the conductor, we have three types of capacitors: parallel plate, spherical capacitor and cylindrical capacitor. So, until now we have discussed what is capacitance and how we can design a device using a system of conductors to increase the capacitance so that we can store more electric charge. In the next class, we shall discuss or we shall derive the capacitance of an isolated conducting sphere. Then we shall calculate the capacitance of a parallel plate capacitor in detail. Okay? Thank you.